So after watching another amazing presidential debate tonight, I want to watch something else a little more representative of the American people afterwards, Borat 2. There's no mistake that Borat 2 is being released 10 days before the election. The movie is a complete political satire and commentary on what the state of America has been in pretty much 2020. I originally went back and watched Borat 1, and as funny as it is and as much as it holds up, the scariest part is how accurate it is till today. Despite being 14 years old, every single point and message in that movie is still so relevant today. So right out the gate with Borat 2, it's shocking because of how non-PC it is. It's so vulgar and just over the top, which is just something I feel like we don't see very much anymore. But to its credit, it kind of hones in the point of like the silliness and craziness of this, view and skew of like Borat's world, which is the whole point of the movie, is that he has this like a horrible misogynist view of what the world is supposed to be like. Unlike Borat 1, this movie actually tries to form somewhat of a story with Borat and his daughter, and in a weird way it's super wholesome at times and really, while not the most moving or meaningful in certain ways, it still has a message to be said. Now, why I find it the most important movie of 2020 is not just because we have so few movies this year. It's because the movie actually talks about something that is so super relevant, so on the point, and I don't know, I guess they filmed this like throughout the year, which is true. Like, I mean, we know certain scenes were filmed throughout the year, but I think they just took advantage, and I don't know if Borat 2 has been planned forever or whatever, but they took advantage of the current political state and were like, look, we can make commentary on the biggest things are the current political climate and coronavirus. And that's exactly what it does. The movie explores, corrupt politicians, the creepiness, the weirdness, and like all the kind of horrible things while making jokes in between all of it. It talks about coronavirus in a meaningful way where, Borat is obviously super unaware of what's going on and believes it's a hoax and everything, yet meets people who actually really gel with him. And even though they think he's weird and everything like that, they kind of really like understand where he's coming from. Now, nothing in Borat 2 is as shocking as it is in the first movie, but that's scarily the point of this, is the fact that none of this is really that shocking. This is just the state that we're in. Borat 1 was such a monumental film because it opened the eyes to a lot of people of what certain parts of the country were. But in this movie, we just see stuff we see on the news every day and what, the reality of the country is. But this just further solidifies the craziness that we're going through right now. Now, to no surprise, this is obviously a very left-leaning movie. I mean, unless I'm reading it wrong, the point of the messages that they point are really of kind of the current state of the Republican Party under, obviously, our current administration, and also of the coronavirus kind of conspiracy theorists out there. The ending of the movie definitely goes in on the conspiracy theories, and I won't spoil it, of course, but as funny and satirical it is, and it's all scripted and everything towards the end, it's scary because that's actually what some people in a fantasized way think is the current, like what's occurring right now. They think that's the reality or something of that like level is what occurred. It's hard to describe the movie without explaining like certain situations and everything, but obviously the power of this movie just comes from the situations and the craziness that Borat's in, and the way that they translate this into like the current day, it feels like the same as it was in 2006 or whenever the first movie came out. Borat hasn't skipped a beat. It doesn't feel like an act. It doesn't feel like he's aged at all. He feels like exactly the same character. But I really think the dynamic that comes in with Borat's daughter really helps, with a few other kind of aspects that they explore within the movie. On top of that, of course, though, it's just extremely funny. It's so hilarious, everything that happens in the movie, everything that they go on, and like the scripted parts to the non-scripted parts to the parts that felt a little bit more forced. You definitely see like a little bit of Borat. You definitely get a lot of like Who Is America, Sacha Baron Cohen's like other like TV sitcom or like political commentary. You get like a whole mesh of that, but it works really well. And despite the issue that they addressed in the beginning, where people would normally, recognize Borat if it was just Borat, he goes undercover a lot, and it still feels like it's Borat in that character being a Borat-esque character without people recognizing him because of like the makeup and the hair and everything. Ultimately, though, I think this movie is going to be such an important film looking back at 2020, wherever we are in the future from then, and looking back at like the reality of the state right now. I mean, sometimes you think back, like the original movie is from 2006, and you think back, what was 2006? And during like Bush administration and everything, maybe that was a bigger reality of what the world was like then. And I was probably too young and naive to really realize maybe some of the reality of that. But now, as being like a young adult, seeing all this, what is this movie going to feel like watching from 10 years? Is it going to feel the same way as Borat 1, where it's like, I can't understand how this is the reality? Or is it going to be, more of like a moving film to see like how much we hopefully grow from then? I don't know. But either way, I think this is a really smart film to put out right now. I think Sacha Baron Cohen hit his stride again. It's probably, obviously the best thing he's made since Borat 1, because I think the last, and I guess Who is America, because that was pretty good. But it really, I think it hones in on the point. You get the messages that the movie's feeling, and it's a snapshot of history that's going to be important, for the future generations to see in a weird way, despite, obviously the crudeness of everything in it. So, yeah, so that's Borat 2 for you. Definitely go out and watch it. It's on Amazon Prime. And let me know what you guys think about it, and go vote.